Okay, so if you go to Tradovate, you should start off with your login screen. So depending on your prop firm, you should get your username and password, pop that in. Once you log in, depending on which firm you're using, you might get options for live environment, demo, backtest. You always just want to go into simulation. Unless you're on a live account. But we're talking about prop firm evals, and generally you'll be going into simulation. Okay, once you log in, your interface might look slightly different than this. Don't worry, we're going to go through setting it all up, right? Okay, so let's just start off with, along the top here, these are your accounts, okay? So if you have multiple accounts, you can access the different accounts, right, by just selecting the drop-down menu and going through the accounts, okay? So this is how you switch accounts. At the top here, shows you your current open P&L and your current equity. So you can see here, if you highlight over, this is your drawdown. So this is how much drawdown you currently have left on your eval or pro account, whichever you're trading. Okay. Right. So the first thing we're going to start off is adding a chart to your layout, right? So you might have tons of different charts with loads of indicators on when you first load it up. If you hit the X at the top of here, it will close all of these sections out, right? So you don't have to have all of this information up here if it's not helpful, right? So let's show you. So if I remove this and this and all of these, I end up with a blank workspace, okay? The plus button is about adding modules to your workspace, okay? So think of this like your canvas, right? So when we hit plus, the first thing I want to do is add a chart, right? So I hold down and I drag. So now because I've got nothing here, obviously it's just one module. So if I let go, right, it'll come up here with my chart. So let's add MNQ, and then you can see the different contract types. And it would ask, would you like to use the previous? Now I'm going to put on default so that you can see what it looks like when we load a default chart. Okay. So, personally, I like to close the high and low data. Don't need it necessarily, right? So you should start off first of all with a chart like this. So if you've cleaned off your chart, then this is what it'll look like. Okay. So if we go into the settings along here, this is where we're going to change our candlestick type, right? So let's change it to candlesticks. Let's change our time period. So whatever time period you want to use, you can use ticks, right? But let's just put it to a 1 minute chart. Okay, great. Right. Another annoying thing that you're probably getting that I'm not is the chart keeps on flicking back to a set position, right? So for that, we want to go on configure chart elements. Any indicators that you've got on the chart that you don't want, you can delete them under the settings here. So if you've got Bollinger Bands, I think they come on as standard, and various few other things, you'll see them pop up here, and you can delete them like that, okay? Which will now leave you with a clean chart. If you click on MNQ, this is the configuration of the actual chart. So if you want to show your trend, your fills, your trade lines, then you can do that, right? Just hit apply and save. You can change the colors. Under this grid section, you'll see auto fit chart, continuous auto fit, and mine's set to off. So what that means is it's not constantly, if I turn it on, right, it should be constantly trying to fit the bars in. However I zoom out, it'll just auto fit it to it, right? Which is annoying. So if I turn that off, right, I can now zoom in and out. So I use my wheelie on my mouse to zoom here, and then to go up and down, I go over to these, to the levels, price levels, and use my mouse again to zoom in and out. Okay, so that's how I navigate on the chart. Let's go and add an indicator to the chart as well. So let's say I want to add an indicator. Let's add a moving average. We're going to add an EMA, right? And I'm going to add a 200. I can change the color here, right? And then, boom, there's my moving average added to the chart, right? If I want to do any drawing, all your drawings are here, right? If I want to delete that, to be fair, I usually just hit the delete button when I'm dragging it, right? Object gone. And that is kind of like the basics of what you need for your chart layout, right? Because most of the time we're using this for execution, not actually chart analysis, because we're using Tradingview and various other things. So you can have, there are quite a good chunk of different candlestick types, right? So they do have Heikin-Ashi, so you can have Heikin-Ashi on if you want as well. There's also there's an upgrade required on this one, but some of them that you will be able to get, like the delta on the candlesticks. I've forgotten the name of it now. It is footprint charts. You can get them in Tradingview. Right, so we've sorted out our chart. Let's add another section to the chart. So you might want, for example, the DOM. So you can drag your DOM. You can place it wherever you want. Let's place it on the right. Okay. Let's search. What do we want to display in the DOM? So now we're displaying MNQ. Now this is something that I don't use. Okay, I don't use the DOM. However, I do know some settings around the DOM. So if we go into our settings at the top here, view settings, and if you put on, so that limit order, left click, stop order, right click, I think it's show P&L, show estimated P&L, right? And then this is you determine the order type, limit or stop by left click or right click, regardless of the pointer is above or below the best or bid paths. I think some people use different options in this. Anyway, so I've just turned on estimate P&L. I think what it should do is when we enter a trade, so let's say for example I'm going to buy here, right? Oh, hang on. Let's just go on. Which one's still going? That's still going. Okay. Still got the group. I don't want to be on the group. Okay. So I'm buying. So you can see now it's placed how much money I'm going to make or lose on the oh God, I've forgotten the name of it. On the DOM. Okay, to say for example I wanted to set a limit order to get out, right? Well, I'm in buying, so this is the buy side and this is the sell side. So if I click left there, you can see I've got one order, right? So, and then if I click left here, oh, hang on, what am I doing? There, right click on this one, puts my stop order. And up here you can see your current profit on the account, right? Did I short that? I must have shorted. Anyway, you can see there we just got tagged out, right? Oh no, we're still in. We're in 2 contracts now. So I must have sold and not bought. So we need to buy 2 contracts. Right, done. Always make sure you hit exit market after any orders. You can see those trades executed on my chart here, right? Now I don't use this, so I'm not going to go too much into it. If you want to use it, that's fine, you can do. Down here are your ATM settings, which we'll get into. However, yeah, there's your DOM. If you want to move it, you can change the size here, right? However, for me, I don't use it, so I'm going to turn it off. Okay, next thing I'm going to look at is trade performance. I do like to have my trade performance on, so I drag my trade performance here. You can just see those trades that we've just taken in a overview, right? Commissions, so we can see that yes, it was $3 profit, but the commissions cost us, so actually we're negative $2.70 on that trade. Okay. If you click, so once you've got that on your chart, so again you just drag it on. If you click here, you can go into more detail, right? So this is just today. If we click on this month and hit go, we can then see more data, right? All of the trade performance, where we're currently at, and you can then also download this as a PDF, right? If you want to keep it. So really handy bit of information. So I like to have that on the chart. And then you can also look at any orders. So you could drag your orders down below, right? So these are orders that have been filled. We can add on positions. Let's drag that down below as well. So then we can see if we've got any positions, right? Nothing live at the moment. So you can have them on as well, right? And that is an option. I, again, tend to just have these 2 on. I will sometimes just have orders on, just so to make sure I can see if I've got anything running, any positions, sorry. So if I place it down there, you can see it's just used this section of the canvas and left this full. And that's normally what my layout looks like, okay? Right, that's all then that you need from a visual point of view to execute on the chart. Let's get into some of the more useful and things that I would recommend you doing if you're just trading an individual account. Okay, so under ATM, hit on settings, and this takes you into your ATM. Now this is setting up brackets. So what we're going to do is we're going to turn on ATM. We're going to create a new one. I'm just going to call it test. Right, so we'll give it a name, hit the plus. Then we can choose by how we want to do it. I'm going to do it in ticks, right? Keep it easy, keep it simple. I want a take profit and a stop loss, right? So my take profit is going to be 5 points, let's say, and my stop loss is going to be 5 points as well, right? Now, if I wanted to add an auto break even, I'm going to say, okay, well, actually at 10 ticks, I want to go break even, right? So let's save that now. So you can see I've added a profit, and it plus means how much into profit I'm going to take it. So I'm going to take it a tick into profit, cover a little bit of that commission. Right. So let's see if we can pick a direction. So let's buy. Okay. Right. So here you can now see it's placed the entry, my take profit, and my stop loss. Here is my current net position. Okay. And we can see the trade playing out. Now if I put it into normal candles, there you go, you can see it better. Right. You can see my chart just went to break even. +1, right? Automatically, I didn't have to do anything. Now, the best thing about using brackets is that when it hits one of the targets, it will remove the other as well. A lot of people end up losing accounts or taking big losses by having, and I've done it, it's easy to do, by not removing all of the orders that are on the chart. So if you hit exit and market here, it removes any orders that are currently pending. Anything. It will remove the lot. So regardless whether I hit target here or not, I always just wait if there's, and just always try and clear the chart basically, just to ensure that there's nothing left on. So it's just like a habit I try and get into, that once the trade's finished, regardless, I just clear the chart basically. Here is the number of contracts you want to trade, right? So you can increase the number of contracts. Just want to see, we get break even now, that'll be easier. We can show the example of it dropping off. So if I wanted to add to positions, again, I could just do buy, and you can see it's added those extra contracts, right? My average position moved up to here. I now have 2 limit orders, right? So I could set one there, I could set one there, right? Let's see if we push through, it'd be a good example of the break even. Should only take 1 contract. So because we re-entered again and the break even already triggered on the first one, that contract won't move, but the other contract will move. So you can see now this is our current position. So it took the other one off, right? So it's now it's like a separate trade, right? So it needs to go, the break even needs to be X number of ticks away. So there you can see it's taken both trades out, right? So I will still always just hit exit just to make sure there are no orders, and it's just good habit to get into, right? Okay, so you can have different ones here, 100 ticks, 10 points, 5 points, and obviously the test one that we've just created, or you can turn it off. So let's have an example of turning it off. So if I buy 1 contract as well, okay, so I'm in for 1 contract, but you can see there's no limit orders around, right? So I need to set in my stop loss. So I'm going to set, okay, well, if we come down to here, then I want to get taken out, right? So we're in a buy, so we need a sell stop. So you just left click, sell stop. And there is my stop. I can move around, and I want my take profit, right? So I also need a sell limit because I'm in a long, and there's my 2. Now, watch what happens because this is a manual and not a automatic. You can see the order gets left because they're not bracketed together. So a lot of people see that, they'll end up getting off. This order stays on the chart, they come back and they've been taken in this trade. So if I hit exit and market, you'll see it just clears all trades for us, right? So a lot of the times when you see me with lots of trades, it's because I'm doing demos like this. Not actually trading, or I'm testing something. Okay, so we've gone through how to set your brackets, and we've gone through how to manage individual trades without them on. If you want to copy trade, we're going to go through that now. So you need to go to manage groups. So in the drop down menu under your accounts, you need to go to manage groups. Okay. Under manage groups, you'll see you can have different. So let's say like I want my pro accounts in a separate group. Right, I can then add my pro accounts right into here, hit save. Okay, now in my drop down, I've got pro, right? So I've got a different account group. So I can select this one. So if I go into manage groups and I'm under all accounts, these 2 that I've dragged across are the only 2 that I'm currently using. Okay. As these have just those 2 have just been passed, right? So I've got 2 challenges left. These have been passed. They're now the pro accounts for those challenges. So I need to trade these, right? So what you'll see is, let's make sure, yeah, it is still, I've still got 300 to go. So let's say, for example, now I want to buy, let's say I wanted to go in one contract on each account. I need to change this to 2 because it's going to share it between the accounts, right? So if I buy now, you can see I'm only in for one contract on this one, but the other account is also running as well, okay? You can see the profit here, net position 2, it's across all accounts. So this is the profit and positions across all accounts. You can see down here those 2 positions, long, and what the current P&L is for those positions. So again, if I want to set my stop order, I need to leave it at 2. It'll only show as 1 because again, it's spreading it across the accounts. You cannot use bracket orders, right? You cannot use bracket orders with groups. So this is only useful for single accounts. So when you're trading groups, you always need to make sure that you're adding the stops and profit targets yourself. However, you also need to make sure you hit this exit button to make sure you clear all orders so you don't leave anything in. You will probably do it. Like I said, I've done it. It's happened to me a few times. It's frustrating. More than often, it's not a positive. But anyway, so that is how you create copy trading, right? You can see the trade playing out. And again, if I hit exit, it'll exit for everything across the account, right? See if we can just get the push. Looks like we're going to come down a bit now anyway. 1 minute's under. Right, let's just put it below that candle. Right, so there you go, stopped out, right? So you can see all the trades have gone. However, this limit order is still there. We need to clear our chart. Done. Okay? Really, really important. And that is really all that you need to know about being able to trade with Tradovate, right? You can connect it to Tradingview. So if you go into your application settings in the top right, you can see all of your subscriptions, and then add-ons. You can see Tradingview, and there's order flow. So we can activate order flow, which is free as well, right? Free indicators, you can activate them. It's all fine, right? But if you've activated Tradingview, which I have, it means that if you wanted, you can then log in with the same login on Tradingview now. That's completely up to you, right? So if we go back to our chart, we've now got those add-ons. If we wanted to look at those particular indicators that we've got that weren't available, they're all available in there. So really simply, this is where you add elements, right? This is where we add elements. There are lots and lots of different options in here that I've not been through. I'm trying to keep it as simple as possible. This is all that you need, right, to be able to trade. This is all that I use. This is my layout. This is exactly how I have it. And then to log out, right, we just hit the drop-down menu and log out. And then you're back to be able to log in again, right? So that's it. I hope you found this useful. I hope it helps you to be able to use Tradovate. If there's any questions, drop them in the comment below. Other than that, I'll see you on the next video.